Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from the almost maddeningly now snowy Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast,
I'm Frank.
and I'm Dan.
Coming up on today's episode, an interview
We do have an interview.
with Dan's therapist.
Yes, but don't worry, we're not talking about me. Although that would be an interesting interview, too.
Yeah, well,
He's just
yeah.
crazy.
Dan.
The diagnosis of
You're
Dan
crazy.
is
Yeah.
just
not your
plain
therapist.
crazy. Oh, no, he's
Paige
actually...
is anything but.
No, he's one of the saner people you'll ever meet, as a matter of fact.
Also, we should mention that we're now available on Stitcher. So if you're familiar with the Stitcher app,
if you stitch,
it's something you can download for your iPhone or your Android, and it manages like your podcasts and that kind of stuff.
yeah, I'm not really sure what it does,
I'm not really entirely sure.
which is why it took us so long to get on there, because
Yeah.
we're not really up on the ins and the outs of it.
Yeah. I'm looking through their talking points. That they were like, hey, these are things you should mention. And it's like, oh, I don't want to mention any of those things. I don't care that you've supposedly won awards.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I don't care.
no,
What I do care about is that people can listen to our podcast using your app.
that's right. Well,
So-
all of you Apple haters out there,
Mm-hmm.
or
Or people who enjoy Apple. It's available in the iOS market.
Oh, absolutely, that's true. I'm just saying, like, people who don't want to use iTunes
right.
to download.
Oh, yeah.
us.
Which actually, it's probably easier than iTunes.
You think?
I don't know.
I found it strangely categorized. Maybe not strangely categorized, but like it was harder to search than I anticipated.
Well, I don't know.
But we're there.
Yay!
Yay!
Look for us there. If you're a user of Stitcher, now we're there. So
Yeah.
it might make your life a little easier. That was the point. So,
Anyway,
all right. What have we got going on, Dan?
well, I don't know if you know this, but recently a major world religion installed a new head of their religion.
Dan,
Wh-
we said
and
we weren't going to talk about this.
and it was done by a woman.
What?
I'm, of course, referring to Justin Welby, the new Archbishop of Canterbury.
I thought you said major world religion.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. No, new Archbishop of Canterbury, who was enthroned as Archbishop
Enthroned, really?
by a woman.
Is that for real? They use such terminology?
According to Reuters, they do.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
Enthroned by female cleric. What was her name? I don't know.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Queen.
Sheila Watson. No.
The Queen wasn't.
No.
What?
No. Sheila
I'm
Watson.
confused. I'm thoroughly 100% confused.
So what's amazing is they don't have female bishops in the Church of England. I think they do have female, but they do
Okay.
have female clerics.
I don't.
and-
What's the difference?
I just how high you can get. So she is Archdeacon of Canterbury, which means that it fell to her to install Mr. Welby as Archbishop of Canterbury.
I don't understand.
You don't have to. Just know that there's
That's confusing.
So basically, and by the way, this sounds just like the Catholics and their guy.
Okay.
The ceremony featured African dancers, Punjabi music, and Anglican hymns. I don't know. Seems probably exactly the same to me.
Wow, how international.
They're very festive.
Yeah.
They're
Wow.
very festive. Well, they had to include the African thing because they've been pissing off the Africans
Right.
in their communion for a while now.
Yeah.
And I mean, basically, this guy, his entire Archbishop of Canterbury-ness, his entire time as leader of the Anglican Communion
Uh-huh.
will be marked by how he handles women in the priesthood
Okay.
and gays.
Yeah.
That's all anybody is going to look to him for.
Wow.
And if he falls on one side of it, then
Yay.
Europeans will be happy
Uh-huh.
and Africans will be mad.
Oh,
and he falls on the other side of it, then Africans will be happy,
Yay.
and Europeans will be mad,
Oh, no.
and U.S. will be about half and half.
He can't win.
Oh, no. There's no winning. This is the worst job this is the worst job in religion.
He'd scratched his way to the top of the organization that he's dedicated his life to. And now it's the worst position to be in. I mean, really, his predecessor, Rowan, whatever his name is, made it out literally just in time. Just before he absolutely had to make a call. He kept hinting at ideas. He kept, maybe we should nudge this way. And everybody would be like, no. And he'd be like, well, I'm just putting it out there. I don't know. Well,
yeah.
Not an enviable position.
Yeah, no, not
to
at
have
all.
been enthroned to.
But he does get fancy clothes.
Oh, that's all I really look for.
Oh, yeah.
In an enthronement.
Fun hats and
When I am
crooks.
enthroned, that's what I want.
He'll have a crook.
I'm not going to go like the other head of a large international faith that doesn't seem to be enjoying.
That we're not mentioning?
That we're not mentioning. I'm not mentioning him, but he's definitely not, he's not all about the enthronement.
Give him some time.
I'm giving him some time. That's why we're not talking about him this week. Is because we're giving him some time. Well, speaking of another major world religion, the Mormons.
Oh, yeah, major world religion.
First of all, I would quibble with world religion.
Oh.
Not even major. I'm not. Major is like, that's not even where my argument is. They're not even a world religion.
What?
Come on, there's 12 million of them. Half of them are in this country.
Yeah,
and they're like
the rest are scattered to the wind.
I think
there are some on the moon, for crying out loud.
Well, yeah, they converted the Quakers.
Yeah, on the moon.
On the moon.
Moon Quakers. Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
They're an interstellar religion.
Well, we already knew that. That's like part of their theology.
Yeah, exactly.
No, like, yeah, I'm not gonna. That's not the point.
Okay.
Of what I want to talk about with that major world religion, Mormonism. No, this upcoming General Conference. For those of you who do not know what General Conference is, it's the twice yearly big ol' meeting in downtown Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
That's what they built the conference center for, some 20,000 plus capacity church.
Mega church.
It is a mega church.
It looks like a very, very nice like Joel Osteen type mega church type building.
Except that it was built to that purpose instead of it being a converted arena.
Right, exactly. So it's got that spacious, capacious feel to it.
Yeah.
But it, really nice wood paneling.
Really nice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is impressive.
They bought the best theater seating they could find. They spared no expense.
Yeah,
and they made the rooftop all beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And then like desert garden up there.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. Okay. There's a really nice.
I have no beefs with anything about that building, really.
Oh, I have a few, but I'll say this.
But, I mean,
like for instance, one of my beefs is that they make this gorgeous rooftop garden, and then one kid falls off of some part of it onto another part of it, and suddenly you can't go up there without an escort.
Yeah, that is bullshit.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. Bullshit, but nonetheless, I think it's a pretty spectacular building. Anyways, so their big fancy building is going to be home to this April a piece of Mormon history. Women most likely are going to be allowed to pray at the pulpit for the first time. There will be a woman giving either an opening prayer or a closing prayer to one of the four general sessions of General Conference.
Which is so funny because there's never been a prohibition against that. Like that's never been something that they've been like, we don't do this, and yet it's never happened.
However, this was an interesting tidbit that I found.
Yeah.
Apparently in 1978, church president Spencer W. Kimball, then president,
And prophet and seer and revelator
and all of that. He felt the need to make an official statement that allowed women to pray in sacrament meeting.
Really? Ladies and gentlemen, sacrament meeting is like, it's just your general weekly mass thing. It's not a big deal at all.
No.
And yet...
And he felt the need. So there must have been like, I don't know if there were some congregations that were allowing it or allowing women to pray or not. I have no clue. But in 1978, he had to issue an official statement saying there is no scriptural prohibition against sisters offering prayers. And also it is permissible for sisters to offer prayers in any meetings that they attend.
Oh, wow.
So
next thing you know, they'll be allowing the Negroes.
Soon enough.
Oh my gosh.
And then let's see, was there anything else no, that was
this
really
was one of the big demands. The Mormons don't demand, but one of the big things that the wear your pants to church Mormon feminists were really pushing for, and they got one.
Yeah, well, they started a letter writing campaign. I think it was something like 1,600 letters got sent in from about 300 women to
Wait a minute.
A select group of apostles who they felt were sort of swayable,
right?
That they could get their attention on the issue, and apparently
smart.
they did.
Yeah.
So.
There you go. I mean, that of the list of things that they wanted to see, this was by far the easiest.
Oh yeah.
By far the easiest.
Yeah. Yep.
Because frankly, most Mormons, if you ask them, probably wouldn't even have noticed that there hasn't been a woman who's ever prayed at a general conference.
Yeah.
Because
there are female speakers.
Yeah, exactly.
So
they probably haven't even caught onto that.
Yeah. I had to really think about it when it was pointed out. I was like, oh, wait a second. No, I guess that's true.
So this one, this is the easy one. Come on, you
guys. But it also, I don't think it ever would have struck me weird had a woman prayed.
No, not at all. It never even occurred to me.
Yeah.
That it hadn't happened.
I guess the only issue is that the prayers are typically offered by members of like the way higher ups of the LDS Church,
right?
And there aren't that many women in leadership positions. There aren't that many positions for women. There's
3.
Well, there's also so I'm sure you're thinking of the General Relief Society presidency,
right?
And then there's which is the women's organization, but there's also like a primary. Isn't there a general primary and a general young women's?
Yeah, because girls are okay to be in charge of other girls and kids
and children. Yeah,
that's what it's okay about.
Yeah,
they start getting uppity if you let them be in charge of men. You can't allow that.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty crazy.
Oh boy, Mormons.
Well,
I'm going to do a Mormon one too then, since we're talking Mormons.
Sure. That world religion.
It is a world religion. I don't know how you can argue around that.
If all it takes is to have a presence in, I don't know, half the nations of the world.
Yeah.
70% of the nations of the world. It's probably half, actually. Then
that's pretty good.
A presence. Not like I think of a world religion as being like dominant in nations.
Okay.
They're dominant nowhere except Utah.
They're dominant in Samoa.
They have, yeah, that's true.
Boom. Did it. Nailed it.
Huh. So that's what it takes.
Samoa. Tonga.
Delicious, though, cookies. Those Samoas.
Oh, they are nice. Really nice.
Yeah.
Actually, I prefer, your thin mints.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, so as you know, Mormons pay their tithing.
Yes.
So unlike most religions where it's like you're expected to put something into the collection tray,
right?
Quite a bit,
right?
But nobody's keeping tabs on you,
right?
The Mormons are keeping tabs.
Oh, they keep serious tabs.
They are going. They call you in. what is it, bi-yearly or just
once
yearly?
a year. It's typically in that time between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
You have your what do they call it? Your
Tithing settlement.
Your tithing settlement. Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
And you get called in to fess up.
Yeah,
basically.
it's your chance to get caught up.
The bishop bishop looks at you across the table, looks at the receipts for how much money you've given, and says, is this 10% of your gross income?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you say, yes.
Yeah.
No.
Gross. Pre-tax people.
Yeah. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
If it's not 10%, you don't get to go to the temple and watch the boring movie.
Nope.
That's a privilege, people.
Yeah.
You don't
you pay for.
Yeah.
You pay for that shit.
Anywho, so it's a big deal. However, the IRS ain't buying it.
Okay.
So here's the deal. There's a Mormon dude named George Thompson, a businessman in New York.
Okay.
He's an LDS, but he's LDS, Mormon, and he went to. Apparently, he was a little naughty.
Oh no!
And
what did he do?
not pay his taxes.
Oh, something he didn't do
for a long time.
Okay. How long?
He owed nearly $900,000 in corporate in corporate and individual taxes.
Wow. Okay.
Going back years.
Okay.
So what the IRS does in a case like his is they assess what his needs are.
Right.
And then they say, you pay everything else to us.
Right. Right.
So
he gets to pay for his house and his food.
Right. So he had agreed to pay $3,000 a month toward the debt, which is a lot, but this guy makes a lot of money. I mean, if you owe $900,000 in taxes, you've made a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
The tax assessor decided that he could afford $8,389 per month if he didn't pay his tithing. And apparently the IRS wouldn't hear of the argument that he made, which is that it's necessary for his spiritual health.
Oh, maybe he should have thought about that when not paying his taxes.
Right? You'd think. So apparently he argued that it was necessary for his spiritual health and sent them he said it would be inappropriate for the IRS to make determinations of what is or is not necessary for a person's spiritual welfare. Maybe so, but guess what? You still gotta pay.
Yeah, yeah. I love this.
Yeah.
This is pretty amazing because, here's this guy who... The issue that the LDS Church will have with him is that he's not paying his tithing. Not that he wasn't paying his taxes.
Right.
That he wasn't paying his due. That he was breaking the law.
Yeah.
Right. That's totally secondary.
Right.
To, hey, we need our money.
Right.
If you're caught up, yeah, we'll let you go to the temple, right? Because isn't that part of the story too? That he's a temple worker.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He volunteers at the temple.
So if he loses his temple recommend,
he can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So he loses all this status.
It's just clout
in the LDS community. And that's what's really bugging him.
Yeah.
Not the fact that he's avoided paying his taxes for all this time. And now the piper is called.
Right. I love it. And I also love that so he sent the IRS in one of his things, he sent them several verses from Malachi, which talked about robbing God by not offering tithes. To which the IRS responded with, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's."
Shut up.
No, I swear to God, they sent him another scripture.
They Bible bashed with
They
them?
did, and they won. That's Jesus himself talking right there.
Yeah, well, they
Pretty good.
That's amazing.
Pretty good.
I absolutely love it. Well, You've heard of these hateful folk that the Westboro Baptist Church, right?
Oh yeah, in
Fred
Topeka.
Phelps.
Aren't
Yeah.
they over in Topeka?
Wichita.
Wichita,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yep, I
Yeah.
think it's Wichita.
I don't know. Who cares?
Oh, it could be one or the other, actually. I know it's in Kansas.
Okay.
Oh, no. Okay, anyways.
Somebody doesn't have his
he-
dateline ready.
Well, no, it doesn't have a dateline that says
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Topeka.
Aha. Anyhow.
Okay, so Aaron Jackson, he's one of the founders of Planting Peace. Which
Planting
is
peas?
Planting Peace.
Oh.
Which is a nonprofit that has focused in the past on rainforest conservation. They've opened orphanages and a lot of third world work.
The question is, can you make a more hippie sounding name than Planting Peace?
Well, they have, he, through the organization, has purchased a home that sits directly across from the Westboro Baptist Church's compound in Topeka, Kansas.
Oh, good. So he can go to church.
No.
Oh.
So that he can paint the house the color of the gay pride flag. And set it up as the Equality House.
Oh.
And Westboro Baptist Church, for those of you who may not be fully familiar with them, they're the ones that go and they picket at soldiers' funerals. They have they say that America has a pro-gay, anti-God agenda, which, if only.
I know, right?
And but they go to pride parades and protest.
They're the God
adjacent
hates
to them.
fags guys.
They're the God hates fags. Yep. They've been to Sandy Hook memorial services.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
no, I think they skipped those. They ended up skipping them,
oh,
didn't they?
I don't know.
They were scared away from the Sandy Hook thing by Anonymous, the group of hackers who figured out where they were staying and made everybody know and stuff.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know
mean.
about
I'm
that.
sorry. I don't mean to dispute.
I'm referencing an article that says that they were.
Okay. They were
anyways.
planning on it. I know that.
Well, I would not be surprised to find out that a journalist got a fact or detail wrong.
Yeah,
So,
indeed.
Anyways, so they purchased the house for roughly $83,000, and they're going to be setting up a place for volunteers to live, who are going to be working on sort of gay rights activism.
Okay, so the initial move is funny, right? You buy the house right across the street.
Get some good attention.
You paint it rainbow colors, and of course you're playing Westboro's game, and you're getting the national news.
Yeah,
great. Does anybody really want to live across the street from Fred Phelps and the? I mean, like, what do you do? I guess you know what you do. You get lawn furniture, and you pour yourself a mimosa. And you sit out and you watch all of them pour into church, and you laugh and you shout at them, I guess.
Yeah, well,
or you play really loud ABBA.
I think what you're doing, I think what their plan here is to do is to insert themselves into the Westboro Baptist narrative,
right? Yeah,
so that when there are stories being reported on, and there are news crews out getting B-roll,
right,
of the church. There's this other thing right across the street that is active and that is responding to Westboro Baptist Church.
Sure.
It's kind of savvy in a way.
Absolutely. I think
they're just using geography as a means to really insert their narrative.
Yeah,
I think so. I think it's fairly smart. But what's also kind of nuts is that the Westboro Baptist folk all kind of live in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he's seen a number of them out for walks.
Oh, yeah.
And that he actually ended up chatting with Shirley Phelps.
Oh.
Who's a daughter of Fred Phelps and one of the church's main spokespersons. And she was out on her four-wheeler. So not for a walk.
Patrolling.
And he says that he yelled out to her and her husband, "Hey guys, how are you?" And they responded, "Oh, we're good. How are you?" And they had a short conversation. He says that she was extremely nice. She made a joke. He doesn't say what the joke was. And we all laughed. And
How many fags does it take to screw in a light bulb? It doesn't matter. God hates them. That's my Phelps joke.
Oh, that's good.
Really good.
And he says it's the craziest thing, and it really throws you off because she's the type of woman who calls you hun and darling. She's very Southern. It's like, aren't you the lady that's supposed to be casting me into hell? It's truly mind-boggling. But I can't say anything personally bad about her because she was kind to me and she made me laugh. She'd probably be fun to hang out with.
Okay, you know what?
I don't
Maybe
think she'd be fun to hang out.
maybe on our road trip,
I think we should. I was thinking
we should visit this house.
I think we have to.
Let's try and contact that guy and see if he'll let us just hang out for a while. And
yeah, I think that's
maybe
a
we do the
required
lawn
stop.
chair idea, and we'll all just sit out on their porch and drink. Well, it's a southern trip. Maybe we need to drink a mint julep or something.
There you go.
I think that'd be fun. Well, that's nice. Well, I'm gonna take us from Topeka to Atlanta, Hot Atlanta, they call it, because it gets stupid hot there.
Oh, is that why they call it Hot Atlanta?
It's gross. Have you been there ever in
No.
the summertime?
No.
Ugh, it's gross.
Yeah.
It's so humid and so hot, and you're just like,
Yeah.
why am I here?
Yeah.
It's what hell feels like. Feels like hell.
Mm.
Anyway, so there was a new study that was published in the academic journal Theoretical Criminology. This is about religion in the prisons.
Oh.
Now, for the longest time, prisons have worked with religious groups and religious leaders to try and bring the criminals to religion, bring them back to God.
It's because religion it can be a real positive force in someone's life, I think.
Right. And I think it's clear and obvious without seeing any data. I think we can state very obviously that religion will, if accepted by a prisoner, will stop them from committing crimes.
It has a reformative effect. Yes.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Except not.
What?
No,
What?
this study,
No. No.
You'll be shocked to learn.
No. I don't want to hear it, Dan.
Oh.
I already know the answer to this.
Right.
I already know.
Because Jesus saves. And
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
No, what Jesus does is just makes... Apparently, so they interviewed 48 people, hardcore street offenders, in and around Atlanta, in hopes of determining what effect, if any, religion has on their behavior. 45 of the 48 were religious.
Oh, okay. All right.
Turns out that doesn't really stop anybody from committing crimes.
Really?
Yeah, as it turns out, what it does do is come up with some creative explanations as to why it's okay for them to commit crimes.
Oh, no.
Some more creative than others,
Oh,
I'll admit.
wow. Okay.
Do
you have some examples?
Yes, I'll read a few quotations.
Okay,
This
all
will
right.
be fun. You'll forgive if I don't do the dialect.
Oh.
Or these are written in dialect. I'll try to avoid actually mimicking that dialect.
Okay.
This is from an 18-year-old thief who calls himself Q, I guess.
Okay.
He
Fan of
said,
Star Trek?
right? He said, I believe in God and the Bible and stuff. I believe in Christmas and, the commitments and whatnot. You mean the commandments? Yeah, that. I believe in that. Can you name any of them? Well, I don't know. Like, don't steal and don't cheat and shit like that. I can't remember the rest.
Don't cheat. Oh.
So clearly he was not inspired by religion.
Well, the problem that I see here isn't so much.
That's a lack of education.
It
what
is
that
exactly right. That's exactly where I was going to go.
Here's Cool, a drug dealer, 25-year-old drug dealer called Cool.
Cool. Okay.
Who says, and also another thing is this: if you do some wrong to another bad person, like if I go rob a dope dealer or a molester or something, then it don't count against me because it's like I'm giving punishment to them for Jesus. That's God's will. Oh, you molested some kids? Well, now I'm sending Cool to your house to get your ass.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Wow.
See?
Okay, that makes sense.
A little stronger.
That makes sense.
That's a little stronger.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was not bad.
One guy said, quote, God has to forgive everyone, even if they don't believe in him. So, if God has to forgive you, you can do whatever you want.
Wow.
I think he's just waiting to the right moment to repent.
Yeah.
Get it all done.
That's when you do a good deathbed.
A 23-year-old.
You get shot, you're like, oh, Jesus, forgive me.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it's done.
You got to do it quick.
Yeah.
Got to make sure you get it in right under the wire.
It's just like, for everything. I'm sorry for it all. The whole bit, Jesus.
Hey, Jesus, you know all those things that I did? I'm sorry. And then you die. and then you're good. Please forgive me.
Whatever it takes,
Young Stunna,
okay.
23-year-old, said, Jesus knows I ain't have no choice, He knows I got a decent heart. He knows I'm stuck in the hood and just doing what I got to do to survive.
Oh.
Jesus knows.
Jesus knows.
I think,
Jesus knows.
He's just doing what he's got to do to survive.
Yeah. Who am I to argue with his reasoning?
I don't know, a logical person. It's just one of those things where, they always talk about, and the truth is that it would be easy for a religious person to point at this and say, well, these guys just don't understand religion.
Right.
And they don't really believe in real religion.
Right.
And that's probably true.
Yeah.
But they're not going to listen to a priest.
No.
That guy's not going to make any sense to these guys.
No. But their superstition gives them a way out.
And they know that their grandmother would beat the crap out of them if they don't profess a love for Jesus. Even at the same moment that they go and,
You can hold Jesus as some weird nebulous
concept
that you don't really know anything about. The sort of that. I mean, they obviously have kind of a street understanding of Jesus.
Right.
This is street Jesus.
Street Jesus.
Everybody creates if they're a believing sort, if they want to believe in a higher power, then they're going to create God in a lot of ways in their own image.
Right.
A God that somehow helps them justify their actions,
right,
for the most part.
Yeah.
Right.
So everybody does it. Everybody creates the God that's going to be most convenient for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So no big surprise there.
The God that's most convenient for me is no God. I like that God. The God that doesn't bug me all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I would tend to agree. Yeah. Well, I've got a story about some folks who are some Jewish folks.
I like Jewish folks
who are this is like the 6th year, I think it said, of a new sort of
Did you say 6th year or 60th year?
Sixth.
Okay.
6. The number 6
with a
th.
Okay.
It's a new sort of Passover tradition.
Oh, goody.
Passover in the Mojave Desert.
What?
Well, so Passover celebrations typically involve the Seder, right?
Seder,
sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is the mythical creature that comes.
I don't think
TYR. No?
It's a meal, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And they the people at the Seder they recount the 10 plagues,
mm-hmm,
right?
Right.
The Egyptian that were visited upon the Egyptian oppressors,
which
their
which
ancestors.
included the frogs and the locusts,
all of
and,
that kind of stuff.
The Muppets, I think, were one of them.
Oh, God. That is a plague. And then, of course, they talk about like the parting of the Red Sea and the Israelites, 40 years of wandering in the desert.
Yeah,
right?
that's congratulations.
As chronicled in Exodus.
Congratulations, you've made it out of slavery. Wander around for a while, why don't you? I don't really have a place for you yet.
Yeah.
But, you'll find something. Go ahead. I'll throw some bread on the ground for you.
Sure.
Every now and then.
Yeah. So the Seder, that's the typical
Mm.
Jewish Passover.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So these folks want to have a more, they're calling it a visceral Passover. Where they go out into the desert for 4 nights and 5 days.
Oh.
And they set up a little camp, a little makeshift village that is centered around a tent of meeting. An open-air structure that takes its name from one of the Israelites, from the tent that the Israelites built in the wilderness.
Oh, okay.
And if you can kind of... There's a picture of 3 or 4 women around.
Got one of those giant Torah scrolls there.
Yep. And they're out in the desert. You'll notice the Tibetan prayer flags, which I think is a lovely touch.
That's good.
Yeah.
They needed that.
There's other such pictures that look almost
wait a
Burning
minute.
Man-esque.
I was going to say, that's Burning Man.
It's Passover Burning Man.
Yeah, exactly.
These are Jewish hippies.
Oy vey, welcome to Burning Man.
I blew that one up, and it's not very good detail, but look at those folks. Those are...
It's center camp at Burning Man.
It's center camp, yeah.
Yeah. They are Jewish hippies.
I mean, how many? I counted at least 2 guitars that I can see in this very low res photo.
Right? Yeah. Do you think that instead of like somebody walking around with a didgeridoo, there's somebody walking around with like a klezmer clarinet playing it at people?
I don't know. But anyways, the Shabbat in the desert is respected as it would be in any observant Jewish home. No fires can be lit.
Oh.
And the camp's generator is turned off. And all meals are kosher. But also, because it's, let's face it, they're hippies. There's also the food is organic, local, and sustainable.
Doy.
According to their website.
Well, obviously. And I'm sure that there are plenty of vegan Jews there as well.
Oh, yeah. And of course, there are sing-alongs and meditation circles, group prayer, and yoga. Mm-hmm. And women, this is amazing. Women can retreat to a red tent if they like. Just as the ancient Israelite women did during their menstrual periods.
Oh my God. They're going Leviticus on this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Hippie Leviticus, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Why would they do that?
Because it's probably not like... the women probably don't have to go. And it's probably not even like, well, if you're menstruating, go to the red tent. It's like... It's probably just... kind of like the woman's corner, right? I mean, I don't know what they're doing.
That's just crazy to me. I mean, in Leviticus, let's be clear, it states unequivocally that women during their period of uncleanness are to go to a separate tent.
Oh yeah.
For the week.
Oh yeah.
And that men can't sit in a chair that a woman has sat in while she's on a rag, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So do you think there are hippies that are like, I can't sit on her pillow because I think she might be supposed to be in the red tent.
Yeah.
And she sat on it.
Yeah.
We should probably, why don't you take this with you to the red tent when you go?
Yeah.
Because your tuffet is now contaminated. That's a contaminated tuffet.
Yeah.
That's
super
amazing.
Fun, right?
Yeah. That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
Ugh, the people and their things that they do.
The thing about it that kills me more than anything were the Tibetan prayer flags.
It was and they're doing their yoga, and they don't give a shit.
It's just a retreat.
It's just
a fun thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they do say that they take walks, solitary walks, like Moses did.
Mm.
And I don't know.
It would be fun to find out where they are and build like a burning bush. Like a fake bush that continually burns up on a hill near them.
Yeah.
Just like get it like a gas thing.
Yeah.
Just get that going.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Get a speaker system around it so that when
Moses.
Actually, my name's Moshe, but okay. Sorry, Moshe.
Oh God. Anyways,
remove thy shoes from off thy feet. Well, okay, you're not wearing shoes. You're a hippie, but you remove thy Birkenstock. Yeah. Stop dancing and quit beating that drum for a minute. I've got some stuff I want to tell you.
All right. Well, Facebook.com/TGIAtheist is a good way to follow us.
Yeah.
You can like us.
You can do, sure.
Yeah.
You can email us. That's podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail at 424-666-8442.
Yep.
We're going to take a quick break. And we're going to hear some Glenn Beck.
Some
prognosticating.
Dude, prophesy, Glenn, prophesy.
The world is on fire, or about to be. There is going to be a new Axis and new allied powers. If you remember the old alignment from World War II, that was the Axis power, the evil power, and then this was the ones that fought against it in World War II. I will tell you that, make this prediction out loud. In the next 5 years, there will be a country in Europe that is run by the Nazis. 5 years ago, I said that, hey, the Nazis were going to come up. That was crazy. Now, I'll tell you, within 5 years, and I think it'll be sooner than that, a country will be a part of this again.
It's
the Nazis?
Yeah, they're coming. The thing is, that he wants to sound like he has a specific country in mind.
Yeah.
That he knows. I don't think he does.
No, he's being intentionally vague.
He just doesn't know.
Yeah.
I tell you
because
what.
he doesn't. Yeah, because he doesn't know. I mean, his prediction is completely 100% worthless.
So your sense of it is that he puts it close enough that it sounds really immediate,
right?
But far enough out that nobody's going to remember to call him on it.
And if anybody does, or if any country happens to go any direction other than like 100%,
he'll just say France or Sweden,
right? Because I read this thing a while back, and I wish I could remember where it was, but this idiot was trying to claim that communism, what they were referring to as Nazism back in the 40s,
right,
was what we would call communism today. And it was just like, no
sense at all that it's actually the opposite end of this political spectrum.
Yeah, and that's what they were saying, is that what they're saying is that it's not a far right political ideology, not at all, because they're like, well, we're on the right. How could we possibly be on the same side of the political spectrum as the Nazis?
Right, exactly.
And it's like,
nope, that's where you are.
That's what it is.
You take it all the way
that's totally
to the right, and you're Nazis.
What it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, good Lord, they're stupid.
Because it's called fascism.
Yeah,
folks.
Yeah. Hey,
now it is one possibility. I mean, Berlusconi is a neo-fascist.
Berlusconi.
And he's been at the top of Italy for on and off for
a while,
a long while.
He's
and so but at the same time, the Italian people, I mean, they're not neo. I mean, it's so weird.
No, I think you can't claim Nazis unless they're trying to take over other countries.
Right.
I think
so. He's not even saying Nazism was fascism.
You can't even
fascist.
you can't even claim Nazis unless they've got like a big scapegoat group that they're trying to force out.
Okay, so that's what
I
your
feel like. I
Okay.
mean, this is not their political agenda, but Nazism, like you can say like National Socialism or whatever. You can call it any number of things, but if you say Nazis, I got to see some of that good old fashioned evil coming through.
Okay.
That's what I say.
You think that's what he's calling for? He's calling for
he said
a
Nazis.
Hitler-esque leader.
I think we need to
a
look
charismatic leader who
Sure.
scapegoats a group but also is like fascist and
I think people like him miss the good old fashioned good versus evil thing.
oh well yeah.
I think he wants evil.
Mm.
That way he gets to present himself and us, the good old US of A, as the good guys.
Yeah.
And by us I mean only the conservatives in the US. I don't know. Anywho, hey, we have a couple donors I want to thank.
Oh, let's do.
Yeah, we got a couple of really fun. Camille, who is a broke graduate student, still gave us a donation,
Thank you, Camille.
and it was in the amount of $6.66.
Well, thanks even more.
Yes, absolutely. Look, we're literally like anything you can give, we are grateful for. Absolutely.
Thanks.
And if you're going to be clever about it, well, then that's even
Double
more
thanks.
fun. And Anita is also a donor, and boy, are we grateful. Thank you so
thanks,
much.
Anita. All right, so we have that. We also have some correspondence. There was a good post that I want to mention from on the Facebook. This is from Elliot, and he sends us a link over to the Fox News. And he says, a classic argument. Can you guys please rip this apart? And this is, the headline on this is, atheism is a religion, too.
Oh, that chestnut.
That one. Where it's like, how exactly does atheism?
Well, this guy's
religion?
argument is particularly special.
Yeah.
Because his one of the tenets, when you finally get to what he's trying to get at, is that atheists also have a God. It's just that with atheists, it's their God is either science or reason or their selves.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I am my own God.
Yeah.
I created me.
You did, and you're subservient to you.
Oh my God. I create laws that I must follow.
Yes.
I worship myself. I have a very special ceremony.
You demand worship from you.
From me.
Of
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Absolutely.
I mean, have you met me? I'm pretty great to worship.
Yeah, you might want to try it too, but you might be busy worshiping yourself. So, anywho, well, I read through this guy's argument. Is there anything else in there that you kind of want to pull up and?
Oh, it's all so stupid.
Well, yeah.
I get so frustrated because really and of course he starts his argument by smugly declaring the former Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams, the winner in the and I guess the audience did too in the Dawkins-Williams debate. Why are these people still debating?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
What?
I think it's useless.
It's so stupid.
But anyways, I spent some time thinking about this actually. About this whole, atheism is a religion argument, and I have a number of thoughts. I mean, I guess the most basic is, of course, trying to just simply be like, well, what is a religion, right? Like how is this guy even defining the idea of religion?
Can I point something out?
because it seems so broad to me, his definition.
Right. Yeah,
It seems
absolutely.
so broad as to be useless.
Of course it is. You have to go that way. But can I?
What's the thing
just
you wanted to point out?
I wanted to point out that if you were going to start this thesis that you're starting as a talk in a Mormon sacrament meeting, you would use the following phrase: Webster's defines the word religion as the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you'd go on and say whatever it is you wanted to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I also, yeah. In my mind, because like somebody at work actually brought this up, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I have this like philosophy professor, and he was saying that gangs are religions, and atheism is religion, and this and that, and blah 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 blah." And I'm sure that this professor was just trying to get the students to think outside of their normal box and to argue with them a little,
right? Yeah,
and to make points and to back them up and all that. I'm sure he was just trying to be fairly provocative, but nonetheless,
yeah, we have definitions.
I think
for
religion
words.
requires some sort of organization,
perhaps a central ethos,
perhaps a set of beliefs,
sure,
maybe a scripture or sacred text.
Absolutely, those are useful.
A ceremony,
yeah. Maybe ritual, a little bit of ritual. How about just anything in common other than the lack of a belief?
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, and this is where I think our language is a little clunky with regards to defining yourself as an atheist or as a non-believer or anything like that, because it is purely a response to it's saying what you're not, right, rather than what you are.
Right.
And
it's declaring it's like saying
it's kind of hard, and so
it's like saying I'm of the group that doesn't own a microwave.
Right.
It's rather than saying I'm of it doesn't say anything about
we
you.
We don't have a good word that describes what we are, except for the fact that atheist does mean that you don't believe in God.
Right. That's all it means, is that you don't have a belief. It doesn't imply any beliefs beyond that, any set of beliefs. Now, a lot of us atheists line up on a lot of things, on a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
But a lot of us don't.
But it's kind of coincidence.
But also, a group of atheists that you and I align with very well?
Who?
Buddhists.
Well, I like Buddhists. I got no problem with Buddhists.
But I mean, as far as like your view of the universe.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And as far as like your daily practice and your daily life.
Right.
You have nothing in common with Buddhists.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that you don't believe in some creator God.
You know what other atheists I don't necessarily align with very well?
Who?
North Koreans.
Exactly. Right? Like, how could you possibly say that all of that is now some new world religion?
Right. Yeah, because we all believe all the same thing. Because you know what I believe by the fact that I said I'm an atheist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's stupid, and he's just trying to get a rise.
He's a polemicist, and he doesn't really care that somebody has an argument against it.
No, he's not. Because he's got a... I didn't bother to read if there were any comments on the thing, but yeah, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
You're stupid.
It goes back to the whole who said the whole thing about atheism. The coin collecting is atheism is a religion as much as not collecting coins is a hobby.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a variant on something that Marr said, isn't it?
I have no clue where it comes from, but I mean, yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not. The end.
Yeah.
We're done with you. What was the other thing we were going to talk about?
We have a voicemail.
Oh, that's right.
Sam from Ohio.
That's right.
Let's just go ahead and play that.
And
real quick.
don't be alarmed if he sounds a little out of breath. Apparently, he was on a walk. I was worried about him in the first little bit. I was worried. I was like, Sam, are you okay? And then it's fine.
Yeah.
Hi, Frank and Dan. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's been on my mind lately. So I've been an atheist for a few years now, but I've been kind of mulling over. I've really just now started to take in and process the fact that nothing happens after death. And that doesn't make me sad or depressed in any way, and I'll explain why. But just so if you are in an argument with someone and they know you're an atheist and they say, well, if nothing happens after death, then why don't you just go around killing people? That's like the reaction 9 times out of 10, I think. So, and to me, that's just the dumbest, like, logical response I've ever heard. Because if you, so here's the, religious view of it. If you're good all your life, then you go to heaven. Whatever your beliefs are, I don't know, you go to heaven and you spend eternity there, right? But then the atheist view is we only have, like, if you live really, healthy and no accidents happen, whatever, I'd say like 80, 90 years on this earth, which isn't a long time. We only have that short amount of time to live our lives. And the logical jump that if nothing happens after death, you would go around killing people is just moronic. Sorry, I'm on a walk right now if you just heard that car. But that would put you in jail for the rest of your life. That makes absolutely no sense, because that's a shitty-ass way to spend the few years you have on Earth. Being an atheist and thinking nothing happens to you after death just makes life so much more meaningful. Because if you think that you live for eternity after you die, then, like, all you have to do is pray a couple of times a day and hate gay people, and then you're good, right? Yeah. So that's my rant for this phone call. I'd love to get some feedback from you guys. I love your podcast so much. I just think it's one of the best podcasts I've ever heard.
All right. Well, thanks, Sam.
Thanks a lot, Sam.
I think a nice compliment too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, we've heard it before, and it seems like the response is pretty easy on that. I mean, well, here's the deal. I've heard the idea that if there's no God, why don't we just go kill other people?
It's a really good question, though.
Well, and Sam's idea is that you'll spend a bunch of your time in jail. That's certainly one thing.
Yeah, but that was one of the first things I had to wrestle with when I first
was killing folk.
It was just the first impulse I had when I accepted my atheism was to go kill some people.
Yeah, why wouldn't you go out and kill?
I mean, doesn't that make sense?
It's just like, wait, should I murder now? Is that what I'm supposed to do? No, what's funny is, I think I can confidently say that for most atheists, as for most humans, it doesn't occur to you to kill people.
Exactly.
It's just
exactly.
I mean, it far from being just deterred by the concept of prison.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's a valid thing. You don't want to spend your limited life, stuck in a cell.
And that might work for some people.
Sure.
But it's like, I agree with you. Most people, I don't even think that the punishment is what factors into their decision not to kill.
Well, I mean, here's what we do know. We know that there are biological, genetic programmings that are their DNA level programs in our system that make, because human beings are social creatures, meaning as a single creature in the wild, we don't do very well.
Sure.
One of us kind of sucks.
Yeah.
We're not fast. We're not strong.
Right.
We are very vulnerable to prey. 50 of us, pretty fucking indomitable.
Yeah.
And, 3,000 of us, and we win.
Right. Guaranteed. Yeah.
It's why we have thrived as a species, because we have developed a social construct. And we see this in all the great apes. They have social orders, and they stick to them. And when they stick to them, things work out very well for them. And when somebody goes astray within those social orders, everybody else brings them in line. Right. And over millennia, that kind of evolution is pretty fucking potent. Right. So you got to be wrong. You got to be like fucked up to go against that. Yeah. And I mean physically / like there's got to be something genuinely wrong with your programming, with your wiring.
Or find yourself in a place and time where those social constructs have broken down.
Right. Right. So
and then things start to get a little weird and whatever. But like, yeah, no, I think you're making a good point, Dan.
there's scientific reasons why we don't go murdering each other, but there's also just, I mean, we're humans and we don't do this.
Yeah.
Morality doesn't have to come from God.
No.
It's already there. It's built into us.
Yeah.
And that is evidenced by the fact that plenty of segments of humanity
Mm-hmm.
who were never introduced to God
Right.
got along just fine until somebody came and introduced God into their little lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't murder.
Yeah.
I haven't murdered anybody for weeks. I don't know about you.
I know. It's rough.
Yeah.
Well, and then, of course, we have some other email that we wanted to get to. And to help us with that, we have Paige Palmer.
That's right. We do.
Here today with us.
Hi.
So thank you for giving us a little bit of your time.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Dan, do you want to introduce Paige?
Paige is a local therapist. What would you say?
I'm a psychotherapist.
Psychotherapist. That's good. You know, if you rearrange the spaces, you can get Psycho the Rapist out of that.
Yes.
Oh.
Or an alrapist, depending on your,
yes.
your historical background.
Yes, indeed. That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
You and I go a ways back because you were my psychotherapist.
Uh-huh.
So that's how we know him. But that's also how I know how brilliant you are.
God bless you.
So we brought you in here because Frank and I go on and on about a lot of stuff, and we don't necessarily know what we're talking about.
We have no clue, right? Like,
You can get paid for that.
Well, yeah.
okay.
We're working on it. But what we're doing, we have had a lot of listeners write to us about coming out as atheist. As Frank and I have both experienced.
Yeah.
Coming out can be a traumatic and terrifying moment.
Absolutely.
Especially when you have family and loved ones who are religious and identify, their whole identity revolves around that religion. So I'm going to read a couple of emails that we got a while back. We've been saving them up for you.
Great.
We got one from Raymond who said that I'll just read it. I'm an atheist with 2 kids from different mothers. An oldest son is Catholic. His youngest son is Jewish. My older son is gay, so I participated in his coming out process as a parent. My wife and I tried to make it as easy as possible on him. He has not come out to his maternal grandmother, mostly because she has told him that gays should be put to death. So he says, my wife knew I was atheist when we married 22 years ago. I've always let my kids know what my views are. His oldest son went to Catholic school. Anyway, the reason I read that is because we have made a correlation between coming out as gay and coming out as atheist. It seems like there's a lot of crossover.
Right, exactly. As a gay man, I see and an atheist, I see that the experience has been very similar for me.
Absolutely.
This desire to, I don't know, what is it? You're trying. You don't want to risk these relationships that you have, or the perception that people have of you, and so like, how does that? How does living closeted? I guess what kind of toll can living closeted really take on someone?
Is there a danger there, or is it fine to live in a closet? What would your opinion on that be?
Well, I make my living as a psychotherapist, and so a big part of that process is coming out as who you are. So at any level, being known is really what all this is about. Whether it's to be gay, or to be Mormon, or to be an atheist, it really is about being known. And if you think about it, not being known is incredibly lonely. And it's worse with the people that you love.
Right.
So to never be known by the people that you love is an incredible stress. And so it's going to create all kinds of problems for you. I mean, anybody can speak to the stress of trying to fake it and to try to pass. So, that's one of the things that we carry until we're known. And then once you're known, it may or may not get better.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yeah, I'm really here to cheer you up. I mean, the truth is, being known is not a guarantee that you're going to be loved or valued or respected or regarded in any positive way.
And that actually leads to something that I've kind of been wrestling with, which is we're taking this soapbox of, come out. It's so important to atheism in general and to other atheists that there's more visibility. But at the same time, I wrestle with this idea that we might be giving people advice that's actually not going to lead to happiness, that could actually lead to being kind of in a bad spot for a while.
Oh, absolutely. And if you think about it, if you're underage, you're living in a household with people who are very devout believers, perhaps fundamentalist in their worldview. They're not going to welcome you,
right?
Your disbelief in their way of thinking. And you may want to wait. I mean, the truth is that could be a pretty poor outcome, and you may want to wait. Mm-hmm. Not everybody has to come out when they have this notion that there is no God.
Right.
I think you have a right to pick your time and your place, and it needs to show some discretion and some awareness of the circumstances you're in. If you're a minor, you may want to weigh that question pretty carefully. The pressures that can ensue can be pretty broad and pretty intense.
Yeah.
You can be swept away to, Bible camp. You can be rehabilitated, and
right.
Those are painful experiences. You may want to wait till you're more on your own. And, as an adult, it starts to be a little bit different, though.
Right.
If you have resources, you're not going to be thrown out on the street. That's a little bit different paradigm. And there's plenty of kids who, whether they come out as gay or whether they come out as atheist, they're on the street. That actually does happen.
Right.
So part of what you want to take a look at is this the time and the place for you? And really what your motives are in coming out. There can be a lot of disadvantages if you're young. There can be disadvantages if you're married to a believer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, when someone, it's obvious. I feel like it's obvious that if you are a believer or if you start a marriage as two believers and then one person falls away from that, it seems like that's very likely to create a very sticky situation. How do you navigate that?
Well, you have to be known if you're going to be able to ever have any intimacy. I mean, intimacy is the ability to go inside, identify who you are, and then bring that into a relationship and share who you are.
Sure.
The loneliest we're going to be is in a loving relationship where we're not known. And I don't even know how you can have a loving relationship where you're not known. So part of what you got to take a look at is if this is where I'm at and this is the path I'm on, is there any way to intimacy and being known without revealing myself to my significant others? I don't know a way to do that.
It's tricky.
So to fake your way through a marriage as a believer, as many, many do, is a little bit like faking your way through a culture as a believer, as many, many do. There's a lot more non-believers out there than anybody cares to admit. We're a pretty big club.
Right.
So being known is one of the ways to reduce loneliness, but it doesn't guarantee you acceptance.
Right.
If it guaranteed you acceptance, everybody would be coming out all the time as exactly what they are. And I don't know what you see, but when I look around the world, I see people hiding a lot because it's a safe way to go. Except it's not, because you have that bind of never being known, living in the stress of being very separate and lonely. So the way out of that is to hold on to yourself and to step into relationship. I think you got to decide when and where.
Right.
I don't think I would come out in the social media.
Not let the most intimate people in your life know by the same way you let the least intimate people in your life know.
Exactly, because they're going to feel completely disrespected, and so you want to ask, okay, who do I come out to as an atheist first? And that's probably going to be to a friend. I don't know about you, but my own experience was coming out really to people that I trusted, who I thought could handle the information, where I could test myself and reveal myself a little bit at a time, and that seems to be the way we do it. But
Frank, you and I are geniuses. This is we've said that. I feel really smart now.
Yeah, I think you're doing well. Yeah, I think you're doing great. You want to test the water a bit, though. I mean, first of all, you got to figure out how you do it. What are the words that are going to come for you?
Right.
I don't believe in supernatural explanations for natural things.
Sure.
That's one way of saying it. Another way is I'm an atheist, and that's almost like a club. You're kind of battering people with. People don't receive that nearly as kindly. What language do you want to use?
Right.
What's most true for you? But in the final analysis, you're going to begin with somebody that you have some faith in, I hope. I hope you don't begin on the social media. You begin with those significant relationships where there's a high level of trust, where the costs are low, the probabilities of being accepted are high. And then you have to move to significant others and in really important relationships where there could be losses.
Yeah. Right.
But at least you go into it with a little bit of practice, the sense that it might be possible for me to be accepted.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you risk rejection.
Absolutely.
Is there? I mean, there's no way to avoid. If the rejection's going to happen, it's going to happen. Is it? Would you agree with that? I mean, I know that. Although, well,
I mean, is there a way to prepare yourself?
Yeah.
For
there you go. That's a smart question.
For that level of risk.
Yeah. Well, I think part of what you're doing is you're recognizing what your goal is. Is your goal to be known? Is it to be accepted? Is it to be approved of? Is it to be valued? I mean, really, what are you going into this for? Some people are going into it to batter their relatives who they felt oppressed by.
Right.
I don't think that motive is going to be very peaceful.
Right.
My goal is always to be able to reach in and identify who I am and then move towards people in relationship. And part of that is my goal is to be known. And so when you're coming out, you're going to risk not being accepted. But if your goal is to be known, and that's more important to you than to be accepted, you're probably on the right path. And you can always ask for acceptance, even though you're not asking for agreement.
Right.
I mean, agreements and acceptance are pretty hard to distinguish for some folks.
Sure.
They can't accept you if they don't agree with you. You're going to have to really work with that. And that message is going to have to be very moderate. And you may have to have a lot of conversations before you get there. I don't think this is a one conversation experience.
No,
I
in
agree.
fact, I was just thinking about that. I mean, especially with like some, any number of parents out there who are believers. It seems like to me that this could be a conversation that goes on for years.
Absolutely.
Maybe the rest of your life in that relationship.
I'm going to jump in here because we had an email from Michelle. And one of the things that she said, it was a lovely email. I'm not going to read the whole thing because just a little too long to be on the air, but it was great. Thanks, Michelle. One of the things she talked about, though, she has come out to her parents as being an atheist, but she has children, and eventually her parents are going to have to come to terms with the fact that she's not going to baptize her children.
Right.
That's a tricky one.
That's hard to hide.
Yeah. I mean, when it's a third party involved, when it's not me and my parent, but it's me, my parent, and my child, that ends up being an even stickier situation. A parent doesn't have to just accept my atheism, but the fact that my kids are not going to join their club. It's a tricky one.
Well, it can be such a major loss. I mean, we have people who have multiple generations in their religious tradition. They feel a tremendous investment in it. They absolutely love and adore you. They want the best for you, not just now, but for eternity. And their notion is that is best served by being a true believer. So they're experiencing loss. I mean, you may be wanting to be known, but they're experiencing a major loss, and that doesn't just exist for here. They imagine it existing for eternity. Mormons believe they're going to be families forever unless there's transgression or there's disbelief or leaving the faith. So these losses are enormous that we're creating for the people around us.
Yeah.
They had a notion, a dream of who you were supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's not who you are.
Indeed.
And so part of this is about coming to terms with the fact that it's not my job to fulfill your dream of who I am for you. My job is to be me and to be known and to share that. Otherwise, I can't live in integrity. I mean, strangely, what we're really talking about here is how to live with integrity. So that we're transparent, we can be seen, we can be known, we can be experienced as who we are, not as a pretension. And so for those of us who struggle with a different position, intellectually, spiritually, sexually. What we're really wrestling with is, do we have the integrity, the gumption to live straight up and to be known and to let people vote?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
I mean, it's not really my job to decide whether you accept me.
Right.
That's all up to you. The question is, can I embrace myself? Can I reach deep down, get a sense of who I am, and share that with you, and let you make your own call?
I think one of the things that's really fascinating about all of this is that many people who leave a religion. Now, this wasn't my experience, but I know a lot of people who leave a religion are hurt by that religion, are angry that they were duped or that they were part of something that has taken a lot from them and not given them what was promised. And then they have to go into this situation where they have to go to their family and almost take care of their family. If they want to navigate this well, you have to show compassion for what your family's going through, even though you're already going through something really intense yourself.
Absolutely.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah, there's no easy way through that, is there?
Doesn't seem like it.
And that's why I don't think it should be one conversation. I mean, this might be years that you're really looking at. You can come out, you can share who you are. Not asking even immediately for acceptance, but for at least the experience of being with your family is who you are. I mean, I don't know what your experience was coming out gay, but when you had somebody fully embrace you from your family system who maybe struggled earlier, that's an enormous victory, I think, over time when you come to navigate those waters and move into deeper relationship. Only now this is who I am, and you're having a relationship with that. But that comes through doing the conflict, and for a while, that's going to get very strained, and there is a fair amount of caretaking involved in it, I think, sometimes, and I think you have to decide, what's my goal here in a first conversation? Knowing that this could go on for years and years.
It's really interesting. I know a lot of people there. We've actually had listeners write in and say, we had one listener write us an email and say, "This is what I wrote to my dad. Do you think it's too harsh? Should I send it?" And I just think, to my mind, he said, "But he's been rough with me. He deserves it." I just think to myself, I think it's what you say. What's your goal?
Right.
Do you want to win, or do you want a more peaceful, open, loving relationship with your father?
Right. Well, and part of that is your goal to be known? Is it to get even? Is it get even with all those people who you felt bad about in church? I mean, are you trying to rectify a whole bunch of wrongs? Because you're not going to succeed. Or is it just to be known? Because that's really living with integrity. You pull yourself together and you share who you are, and then people get to vote. They're going to vote anyway, but now they get to vote on who you actually are.
Right.
So there's an opportunity to come together, move your life forward as who you are, and there will be losses.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to accept you, and it speaks to also some of the other issues. Once you get beyond your significant other and maybe your parents, you come out of work. For some people, that's a disaster.
Yeah.
That's the end of their livelihood.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make occupational changes. Well, is that a bad thing?
That's true. I mean, what? It's a trade-off, right? You can choose
Absolutely.
to be at work and not be you, and not have the opportunity to live with that integrity, or you can choose to find something else to do for your money, where you can be yourself.
And that's a decision for an individual to make.
Right.
Stay inside of a system. And some people stay inside the system hoping to alter the system. By their very presence, they can begin to have conversations, and it's a little bit of insurrection from within, maybe. They start to have a dialogue.
Sure.
And in that dialogue, sometimes change can occur. So sometimes you can be an advocate for change, not coming out on the inside, but in pretty intelligent, appropriate ways, and preserve your livelihood, preserve your connections culturally and maybe socially. That's a reasonable position to take, I think.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work for me.
Indeed.
But I wouldn't doubt it for somebody else. I think the motive question comes in. Are you trying to live a life worth living for yourself? How much caretaking you do of others? Are you trying to right wrongs? You know, are you trying to, get even in some way? You got to really look at your motives for it coming out at all. If it's to be known, you only have one pathway forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's about revealing who you are and letting people vote. They're going to anyway. This notion that we can preserve everything is foolishness. You're going to lose something somewhere. Is it going to be you? Is it going to be some relationship? You can't have everything, so you start to choose what you want based on your values. And when you're living in integrity with your values, you're going to have an interesting life. It may or may not be peaceful, but, hundreds of years in Switzerland gave us Swiss cheese. In Italy, 100 years of conflict gave us the Renaissance. So I like the Renaissance.
Yeah.
But a lot of people like cheese.
Can I have both the Renaissance and cheese?
They serve cheese in Italy. It's pretty good. So maybe you can have both, but I don't know how to really get the Renaissance without conflict.
Right.
Maybe you can get cheese peacefully. I like conflict. I think it yields something richer, whether it's in music. I mean, I think the best music in this country came out of the 60s. There's a lot of conflict in that music. So good times really create good art, or bad times oftentimes create really great art.
Indeed.
So in your life, I think part of it is about embracing the fact that I'm going to be in conflict if I'm known, but my life has at least the potential to be a work of art that I can respect.
I want to make a differentiation here, because when I hear about being okay with being comfortable with conflict and embracing conflict as part of creating an interesting and fulfilling life, part of what I'm flashing on is something, for instance, Frank and I have been outspoken against some of the messaging that comes out of the atheist movement, which seems to be very driven at conflict for conflict's sake.
Right. Absolutely. It's pretty aggressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very aggressive. And it seems to us, we've decided that at least in large part, it can be destructive to the overall message and destructive to relations between believers and non-believers.
Yeah, I think being the Rush Limbaugh of atheism is a poor position to take.
It seems like it, yeah. So the conflict that you're talking about is the conflict that will naturally arise no matter how gently you go into this.
If you're gentle, if you're respectful, you're still going to encounter conflict.
Right.
You can be respectful, you can be engaged. The question is, are you going to be intelligently engaged, or are you just fighting for the sake of a position? Limbaugh's great for that. He takes a position and he just advocates no matter what he thinks personally, I suspect. He does it for a lot of motives, and I think you got to take a look. Are you in this to deepen relationships and connection? Are you here to further dialogue? I mean, you want to have great conversations. That's very different than beating somebody over the head with what you believe about their religious practice. There's no relationship in that. It's just abuse.
Wow.
All right. I think that's all the time that we have today with you.
As much as I can process in one in one setting. This was great.
Well, maybe another day.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paige.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
Paige, we appreciate you coming on so much. And if you can, to reach us, if you have more questions that you'd like us to answer for you, or if you'd like to have us invite Paige back, you can reach us by a few methods.
Yeah, you could email us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
That's right. You can join us on Facebook at facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
Or you could leave us a voicemail at 424-666-8442.
That's right.
Thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for letting us use one of their tracks as our opening and closing music.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget, if you want to be like Anita and Camille, and you want to donate to this fine programming, you can do so by going to thankgodimatheist.com and clicking on the support thing on the right side of your screen.
Yeah, and of course, like we said at the beginning of the show, we're now available on Stitcher.
So stitch away.
All right, well, thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.